Morning and welcome to Ruth's laundry room. Normally we're in the art room, but today we're going to be mixing up a batch of gesso. And I realize now, looking at the camera, that writing is backwards to you, and I apologize for that. That's because I turned the camera around. So anyway, this is plaster of Paris. You can get it at any hardware store. There's really only 4 ingredients in gesso, and I will hopefully remember and put the recipe down below. But basically, you're going to have glue, white paint, plaster of Paris, and water. And all ingredients are equal except the paint. So you put equal amounts of plaster of Paris, glue, and water. And then how much ever that was, if you're doing 1 cup or half a cup, whatever, you do double the amount of white paint. So since the most amount needed of anything is the paint, I'm going to measure it first, because if I were to say, all right, I'm going to do a cup of this, and of course I have a cup of water, I might not have 2 cups of white paint. And I found that it's usually best to start with the thing that you need the most of. So I'm just using the cheapest jug of paint, and I think I probably got this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Pretty sure it's not Walmart. And the only problem I have with it is it has glued itself onto that, so I have to use the flip up top, which it's pretty liquidy inside. So I have this wonderful jar, mason jar, and it has measurements on the side. So I'm just going to pour this in, and if I have a cup, I'll stop there, because you don't want to make too big of a batch. Oh, look at that. I'm right at a cup. I'm going to give this a shake. Shove it all down to the bottom. And yep, there we go. That was pretty good. Okay, so since I had a cup of white paint, then I'm going to use half of that of everything else. We're going to use half water, half a cup of plaster of Paris, and half a cup of glue. Now, ideally, you should use a dust mask to work with plaster of Paris. I could not find one. So we're just going to be really careful. And you're going to measure the dry first, because if you were to put water in your measuring cup and then need to put plaster of Paris, it's wet, and you have to get it really, 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 really dry. So I'm going to set this down into the utility sink. That's a little big for that. I mean, I can scoop it, but it's not ideal. I could use another little scooper. Did not anticipate that, but isn't that interesting when things happen on camera? Okay, so I'm just kind of holding it. Well, it would be nice if you could see. I'm holding it out here, and I'm digging down into the sink. I'm doing half a cup. Boy, I almost forgot that. Okay, so you can kind of see that it's not as precise as baking. This is actually really close to half a cup. All right. Yeah, I could have used a half cup measure, but at the time I didn't know how much paint I had. Okay, so they say to use warm water when you're mixing the plaster of Paris. Don't know why. So I'm going to put in another mason jar, and I have these 2 little cute mason jars that I'm going to put my gesso in. I'm going to put a half a cup of warm water in here. There's the line. And I love mason jars because they have lines. Excuse the noise from the water. I had it warm a minute ago, just so it wouldn't take too long to warm up. Come on, you can do it. laundry room sinks, you know. Oh, here it comes. I'm feeling warm. There was also something I read that said to put, now I'm trying to remember which way they said to do it, whether you're supposed to put the water into the powder or the powder into the water. And I think, well, I know there was a reason for it. Let me see how much that is. I did a little over so that I could pour it down. Okay. Gosh, I wish I remembered which way it was supposed to go. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the powder into the water. And I'm going to stir as we go. I just happen to have a paint stir handy. A lot of people have paint stirrers, but if you don't, you can use the back of a handle of something that is from your craft room. Please don't use things from your kitchen. It's just not a good idea. This is mixing very well, and that could be why they say to put the powder into the water. I might have got it right, because it could have been really glumpy if we went the other way. There. Come on, get that last little bit in there. It gets stuck to the side. I probably got it wet. Okay, I'm going to put that. And I'm just going to wipe this off the counter into the sink, because I don't want it flying around. Okay. I've got this pretty stirred up. I'm not seeing any glumpy bits. That's really good. Alright, so I've got plaster, water, and we're going to add this. There's a little bit of glumpy bit right there. We're going to add this to the paint. And let's see. This is a dark glass, because I'm going to keep it in this, and I just kind of like the purple. It doesn't need to be dark. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I was going to try and just fill it up. If you have a clear glass, you could just look at the measures on the side and fill it up 4 ounces from there with glue. But I can't really see real well where it is. So I'm just going to add this to the paint. Then I'll put the glue in here. Oh good, there's like nothing in the bottom. Got that mixed really well. Look at that. Woohoo! Alright, so I'm mixing this. And this actually is a brand new bottle. 4 ounces of glue. And we need a half a cup, and that is 4 ounces. So rather than waste some on the sides of this jar, I think I'm just going to pour this whole thing directly in. And I could tell that it had never been opened. We will lose the small amount that's clinging to the insides of the bottle. And sometimes what you can do is just run a tiny little bit of hot water into the bottle, since we're using water in this anyway, just to get the rest of that out. And it's still going. It's just a thin thread. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off. Grab this small amount of what's already warm water, shake it all about, and then we'll pour it into our mixture. Now, if your mixture is too thin, all you have to do is add a little more plaster of Paris to thicken it up. So that's nice. But if you're going to do that, don't just shake plaster of Paris in here. You saw how nice and easily it dissolved in warm water. So just put a tiny bit of warm water back in your other jar and some plaster of Paris and get it smooth. And then add it into your mixture. Okay, now, oddly enough, I wasn't anticipating making this small of an amount. But I did it based on how much paint we had. So instead of moving it to these other 2 jars, I think I'm just going to, oh, that's right, I can't. I can't leave it in this jar because I can't find the wide mouth ring. It's a mason jar and lid to fit this jar. So I'm going to pour it back into this one, which is already dirty. And it made, if I could read here, 2.5 cups. 2.5 cups. So we did a cup of glue, a cup of plaster of Paris, a cup of water, and a half a cup of glue. And that makes 2.5 cups of gesso. And it's a pretty good consistency. It's almost like glue. And this is actually a tiny smidge thicker than my last batch. I wasn't really happy with the last batch because I felt it was kind of thin. But I tell you what, it worked on everything I used it on. So I'm just going to call this done and a success. And I've already got my label on it that basically says gesso mix. I'm going to let this dry. You don't really want to run gesso down your drain, if you can help it. I probably need that stick again. Oh, what was that? That looked like a lump. Let's go back the other way. There it is. Yep. Now somehow I got a hair on my stick. That's interesting. Alright, let's try this again. We gotta find that lump, because that's something that needs to be dissolved. Okay, that's about as much as that jar can hold anyway. I did not see that lump. Did you see it go through? I know you can't answer me. I wish you could. But, and I have a paper towel standing by on the off chance that I would need it. Ha ha ha. Okay. I am going to clean up this ring because I didn't the last time I made a batch. And that container always got the lid stuck on. So just kind of keep your threads or the outside of your whatever you're using and the very top edge clean, and it won't get stuck. And there is our bottle of gesso. And I have a little bit more that I could put into this one, but I think I'm going to just use it straight out of this one because I do need some gesso today. So rather than lose the stuff that's on the side, I'll just use it right out of there. Save that one for another batch. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to clean up this mess and go use my new gesso. Have a good day.